And he said, "Isn't this Burger Bill?" She said, "Yes, it is, but we're closed now. But we open tomorrow at 10." He said, "I am extremely hungry, but I guess I can wait until then." Hey, everybody, welcome to Faith and Fandom Feedback Friday, as coming live to you with news commentary and all the chit chat about the week that has transpired over the last 7 days. I am coming to you live from northern Alabama, atop a mountain, Lookout Mountain to be specific. I've been speaking at Ponderosa Bible Camp for the past week, and today's the last day, and I've got like a 7.5 to 8 hour drive ahead of me. Uh, once the kids dismissed this afternoon, and just wanted to take the time to pop in and do the usual Friday morning routine with y'all before we get going. I'll finish this up and go pack up my cabin and be ready to bounce as soon as things are going. So thank you for taking time to join with me. It is 6:44 or 45, 52. It's 6:52 where I'm at currently, but all y'all in weird time zones, um, including my own time zone. Hi, how you doing? Um, so yeah, let's jump in and get in on some news. I'm gonna go ahead and move this. I'm trying to make sure I don't get feedback with the microphone and the phone and all the things. Um, so jumping into the news, one of the first things I thought was pretty cool that happened almost immediately last week, the uh, G7 summit happened, where the Pope met with people. And, I'm not exactly a bottomless pit of knowledge of the Pope and the things that the Pope does. Um, but one of the things that the Pope did was he met with over 100 comedians. Numbers have ranged between 100 and 200 comedians at the same time. And he brought them all together to share with comedians all at once. And these comedians included Chris Rock, uh, Whoopi Goldberg, Jimmy Fallon, Jim Gaffigan, um, and let's see, yes, Stephen Colbert, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Conan O'Brien. Evening, Tristan. And but the Pope brought like 200 comedians all together, just to tell them that their work is important. And he said that quote, "In the midst of so much gloomy news, immersed as we are in many social and even personal emergencies, you have the power to spread peace and smiles." He says, "You unite people because laughter is contagious. Um, Please pray for me, for, not against." Um, and he said that what was one other? He said one other thing that was really cool. Remember that this, when you manage to bring intelligent smiles to the lips of even a single spectator, you also make God smile. Um, and Lots of good responses from the comedians that were involved with it. Uh, Jim Gaffigan was told he was the Pope's favorite comedian, which he's treasuring. And then Conan O'Brien said this. He said, "To be in a room with all of my fellow comedians, some of whom I've been good friends with for many years, in that environment was quite strange. All of us were thinking, how did this happen? Why are we here? And when are they going to throw us out?" And that's one of the things, like, I know that there's a lot of different viewpoints in regarding to stuff like that, but just the idea that the Pope brought hundreds of comedians together to tell them you're doing a good job by making people laugh and asking questions and creating smiles. I appreciate that. I think that's a solid life move. Um, and I think, for some people, that's going to be really special and treasured. Uh, Moving on with some other news. Jordan Peele, director of Us, Nope, Get Out, etc., um, is revealed the release date for his next movie is going to be October 23rd, 2026. So he's dropping a Halloween week movie in 2 years. So I know that's a lifetime for some people to wait for 2 years for that, especially since Nope was already 2 years ago. Um, but that is coming. Uncharted 2 is officially in the works. Production has begun. Sony has announced that that is happening. I don't know that many people are dying to be like, oh man, I really need another Tom Hardy, Mark Wahlberg Uncharted movie. I didn't think the first one was bad, but I've not watched it twice. So, and that's kind of a gauge for me. Uh, Peacemaker season 2 is officially going to have a new dance intro. The dance intro for Peacemaker was probably one of the best things for it. Um, Hey, good morning, Derek. Uh, but the season 2 will have a new intro. One thing I thought was really neat is Daredevil star Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, who respectively star as Daredevil and Kingpin, will be returning, but not just in Daredevil Born Again. They will both be returning for the animated Spider-Man series, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, doing the voice work for the animated series. If you're not aware, for years now, there has been production of a Tom Holland centric Spider-Man cartoon. Um, yeah, called Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and where it's going to look like almost a classic 60 styles animation or comic book art. And Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio have already recorded their parts for the first season of this show. Cox stated that he recorded his part during his filming for She-Hulk. He's not seen anything other than sketches for the work, but his part is already done for the first season of it. So we will get finally a MCU canon interaction between Spider-Man and Daredevil and Kingpin. So that's coming. Um, for whatever reason, Chris Pratt was on the set of Superman, formerly Superman Legacy. He was just sitting back watching filming during this past week. So Chris Pratt is already looming around the DCU sets. So, and again, I think strongly that Chris Pratt would make a dope Booster Gold. Um, I also think that the dude who plays Homelander would be a dope Booster Gold, and a very strong contrast to Homelander. So I'm not in charge of their casting, but that's where I'm at. Um, Nintendo Direct happened this week, and we got lots of news from Nintendo. Like realistically, my Switch hasn't been touched since I played Sea of Stars. And I've not found a lot of good things on the Nintendo Switch that I feel are worth my time recently. I love Nintendo. Nintendo's my favorite. But there hasn't been a lot. Nintendo Direct, though, has announced some stuff that does sound like it's going to be worth our time and value, and it's not going to take forever to get here. Coming in September, we are getting Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which, if you're familiar, when it comes to the Triforce of in Legend of Zelda, there's the Triforce of Power, the Triforce of Courage, and the Triforce of Wisdom. Uh, and usually they're respectively split between Ganon, Link, and Zelda. And Zelda is the Triforce of Wisdom, or usually carries the chunk, the Triforce of Wisdom. This game will mark the first main Zelda campaign where uh Zelda actually is the protagonist, and it will be the Legend of Zelda, not just of Zelda being rescued or having a backstory. Now, I will argue that not Majora's Mask, but Ocarina of Time had a really dope Zelda-centric story in terms of Sheik and everything else. But this time you will be playing as Princess Zelda rescuing Link. Um, and it looks like it takes place in Link to the Past era. This is just my opinion. I don't know this for real. Um, it looks like it takes place in a Link to the Past era. That's my alarm clock. Because and weird thing here, this property that I'm on is kind of like smack dab on the middle of two timelines. So my phone will switch back and forth between Eastern and Central time zones constantly. So it's a weird thing. Um, but you'll play a Zelda, and you will have your own special kind of like tri-rod slash, it's not like a trident, but and you'll have the ability to copy and paste things. You'll be able to like create monsters and stuff like that. So it's going to be a lot more puzzly than your average, yeah, sword fight thing. I'm looking forward to it. It drops in September. I'm going to pre-order it at my local GameStop as soon as I'm back in North Carolina. And so that is definitely coming. We'll talk a little bit more about some Nintendo stuff moving on. There's a Blue Beetle animated series in the works. So if you enjoyed Blue Beetle, I think we're holding on to that with the Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle character and actor. So there's a Blue Beetle animated series in the works, and I thought Blue Beetle was one of the more solid components in Young Justice in the early seasons. So if you've not watched Young Justice like seasons 1 through 3, it's dope. Past that, it gets a little wonky. But the first couple seasons of Young Justice are some of the best animated DC storytelling, hands down. On the terms of animated but no longer animated storytelling, there is a live casting call for the role of Toph for the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action Netflix series. So that's it. They're looking for a young lady to play Toph. And so if you're like, I know a kid, you might want to point him out because they are actively looking for the young lady who's going to take the role of Toph, which is a pivotal role in the Avatar franchise, and a lot of the comedic weight drops on that. In some music news, Marty from Social Club dropped a new album today, and in fact, it's his first full solo album. He's dropped a couple EPs, including Marty for President and Marty for President 2. But he dropped his full first album today. It's called Flop Era. And I've been part of his little network as he's worked on it for the past year and listening to some of the stuff in the progress. I haven't listened to the full album yet, but I fully do tend to buy it and listen to it today. Also, in some music news, Judah and the Lion, about a month and a half ago, released an album called The Process that process goes through the 5 stages of grief. They added an additional track to the existing album, saying that the process is continuing, and it's called Measure of a Man, which, if you're familiar, is also the title of a uh, book on biblical manhood. Um, Tristan says that, yeah, it's great from what he's heard. I've literally just heard the snippets on Instagram and the little messagey chat things. But I like to listen to hip hop like full volume with the windows down. So in time, that will happen today. So Flop Era dropped, Measure of a Man from Judah and the Lion dropped, and I'll go ahead and say this in terms of music. About a month ago, 21 Pilots released their album Clancy. And they released a music video for each song except for the final track, Paladin Straight, because work had to be done to bring it to full level. Paladin Straight drops today on YouTube, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want the final video, and this is the most production, to my understanding, of any video they've put in, and I just because my feed has a lot of 21 Pilot stuff from other countries that are ahead of us. I've seen some clips and it looks like it's pretty chunky in terms of storytelling. And so if you're up to date on the backstory and lore and things like that of the last 10 years of 21 Pilots music, you should be good to go to check that out. If not, you can just watch the video and it'll be moderately interesting and mostly confusing. But that will drop today at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Um, uh, a Spaceballs sequel is in the works from Mel Brooks and Josh Gad. Josh Gad has got his hand in a lot of comedy productions lately, and I don't know that I'm against it, but I don't know that I'm confident in it. Josh Gad is currently making he's, been killing Broadway for a minute. And he's been great in his Disney stuff. But he is making a biopic on Chris Farley that's already in the works. But he is going to be writing, producing, directing, and everything along with Mel Brooks to make a Spaceballs sequel. Now, my concern is that, they recently did a History of the World part two, and it did not have a lot of good reception. And I don't know. Spaceballs is one of those things that a lot of people love, and while there is plenty of room for humor and self-depreciation in the Star Wars universe, I don't know that I don't know that this is where we need to go. Let's again, my opinion doesn't matter. Um, and Tristan, I'm with you as long as Mel is involved, but like Mel's involvement doesn't to me now instantly mean it'll be good. Mel's involvement 20 or 30 years ago means it'll be good. Um, I don't know that his humor still comes across and translates as well as it used to. And I don't know. I'm just cautious because I know it's something that people are very passionate about. Um, but I'm hoping to give it a good chance. And um, I don't know. I just I feel like Star Wars and the church are kind of in the same place sometimes. Uh, you know, we see all the things that are wrong with it, but tearing it down isn't where we need to go. But we'll see. We'll see. Um, a new Doom has been announced, and it's going to be kind of a medieval-ish style Doom. I would the second Doom just felt unoriginal to me, so I didn't even finish it. And that takes a lot for me to walk away from a video game. Um, it is the 20-year anniversary of Napoleon Dynamite, uh, and Napoleon Dynamite, with the conjunction of the 20-year anniversary, has partnered in advertising with Ore-Ida, the potato company, and has star John Heater returning to advertise tater tots. If you've not seen this commercial, this advertisement, it's worth watching just to see where we're at in life. Um, but it says Ore-Ida, deliciously protectable, or deliciously predictable, and the commercial basically features Napoleon Dynamite eating tater tots in a cow field, but now they've developed a pocket for his pants to make sure that his tater tots don't get crushed. That's the thing. If you're a Napoleon Dynamite fan, it's worth watching. Um, in November, season 2 of Arcane drops. If you did not watch Arcane, it was kind of a masterpiece on Netflix. Great casting, great acting, great animation, great storytelling. But when season 2 drops, that will be the end of the story. So season 2 will end the Arcane story, in which, I never even played League of Legends, but I thought Arcane was pretty dope. Um, and back to Nintendo news. Not only are we getting a Legend of Zelda game starring Zelda finally, we are like, finally getting Metroid Prime 4. Metroid Prime 4 is finally happening. It's coming in 2025. Um, and yeah, that's you don't need to tell me more. I love Metroid. I love Metroid Prime. And we're getting a sequel. Now, I am concerned because I'm still rocking a Generation 1 Day 1 Switch, and I don't know how well my Switch is going to rock with a 2025 Metroid game uh that's probably going to push all the limits of the Switch. So literally I thought that it was time to throw the Switch away or because it was done and they're at least giving this sucker a last gasp. There's also in November, so you're getting Zelda and Mario in November. In November, you are no, sorry, Zelda's in September, Mario's in November. Um, Mario and Luigi Brothership, where you are getting a Mario and Luigi co game where they're actually functioning together and have some really cool interactions. So if you're a fan of the Brotherhood of Mario and Luigi, this is going to be a cool storytelling device for you and probably some interesting gameplay. Donkey Kong Country Returns is getting an HD release in January as well. Perfect Dark in the N64 version of Perfect Dark is available to play today. Like it's out, it's going with multiplayer on the Nintendo eShop. So if you have like the virtual consoles that come with your Nintendo Online account, you can play Perfect Dark today on N64. Um, Ian McKellen, who's basically best known for playing Magneto and Gandalf, uh, has fractured his wrist from falling off of a stage recently, but he's recovering well. That happens. And actor Donald Sutherland, who has been a staple in American cinema for my whole lifetime, father of Kiefer Sutherland, and has passed away at the age of 88. He passed away this week. Um, Justin Timberlake was arrested this week for a DUI or DWI. I always forget the um, thing of that. He passed a field sobriety test but refused a breathalyzer and was taken in. And Justin claims that he only had one martini, but he drove through a stop sign and was pulled for that, and was arrested and released on the arrested and released, and it appears that he is going to be banned from driving uh, for 1 year, I believe, in New York. Um, is where he's going to be banned from. But one of the things that makes the meme story like of it all pop is the fact that the arresting officer didn't know who Justin Timberlake was. Like he was a young man and he had no idea who Justin Timberlake was. So when he arrested him, like he was clueless and he was just doing his job. He got no celebrity treatment. Um, and Justin, it's quoted of saying when he was arrested, this is going to ruin the tour. And the police officer said, "What tour?" And he said, "The world tour." And he just kept going. And so the meme culture now is to say that to use that as the response for any minor convenience to just this is going to ruin the tour. Um, but DUIs and DWIs are no real laughing matter because they are dangerous and lives are lost because of them. But y'all, we make some foolish mistakes. One of my favorite writers, period, in comic book formats is Tom King. Tom King is also the reason why we got WandaVision, and he's responsible for some of the best Batman and DC stories of the last decade. He did a comic book about a year and a half ago on the Human Target, and reportedly, I don't know that I trust this source 100%. Reportedly, there's a Human Target series in the works for Max based on Tom King's book, which sees Tom King or which sees Chance, the main character of the Human Target's book, interacting with a array of superheroes. And this does work functionally because one of the main characters in Tom King's run is Guy Gardner, the Green Lantern, who is already functionally cast as Nathan Fillion in the DC universe. So, one of the things that James Gunn has said is that he wants consistency across all the playing field. That if they play a role on TV, if they play a voice of a character, they want the same person playing it in live action. So we could be getting a full Tom King Human Target run. There was a Tom King, or sorry, there was not a Tom King. There was a Human Target TV series on Fox a number of years ago, and it was actually very good in terms of just good popcorn Friday evening entertainment, but it didn't last. I think it only lasted 2 seasons, but I enjoyed Human Target as a series then. Um, there is a long shuffled around spiritual successor to Batman the Animated Series, called Batman the Cape Crusader. It was moved from Max to Amazon Prime, and it has a classic Batman Year One style to it, but a tone that fits Batman the Animated Series. And they have officially announced who the casting is. If you've seen Midnight Mass, which is the only thing I think I've seen this dude in, um, Midnight Mass, the dude who plays the main priest is going to be Batman, and Christina Ricci is going to be Catwoman. Christina Ricci as Catwoman flies all the appropriate flags for me. I think she'll do great with that. And I think that the dude from Midnight Mass is totally capable of being a great Batman. So that is coming. Um, as previously stated, there is a uh prequel to Dexter coming called Dexter Original Sin. And Patrick Dempsey, McDreamy from Grey's Anatomy has officially joined the cast. Um, this isn't like a surprising to me though, because dude literally just starred in the Thanksgiving horror movie last year. So there's that. On stuff that is disturbing, weird, and moderately creepy, like way disturbing, weird, and moderately creepy. Um, a couple years ago, we had the horror movie Megan. I guess it's about a year and a half, 2 years ago, about the life-size animatronic teenage girl best friend, my buddy slash Chucky vibes. And the horror movie gained notoriety due to the awkward dancing and all the things. There is a erotic thriller spin-off series movie based on the Megan world, dealing with adult companion dolls, and the movie is going to be called Soul Mate with an 8 for the A. And it's going to be dealing with a AI animatronic um doll that is helping someone cope with the loss of their wife, and things are going to go wrong. This is just all manner of no for me. At just the concept of where this is going to go. So it's a thing. It is happening. Um, in terms of more Nintendo news, because I need Nintendo news after that. Um, not only are we getting Zelda, Metroid, Mario, and Donkey Kong, Mario Party Jamboree, which will be the biggest Mario Party game ever with 110 new mini games, is launching October 17th on the Switch. So if you're a fan of communal Mario games and fun and parties, that's absolutely happening. Um, Chris Hemsworth is in talks to head up the Transformers G.I. Joe crossover movie. If you're familiar with the last Transformers movie, the one with the beastie things, I forgot what it was called, but it had Danny Rojas from Ted Lasso in it, and the dude from Hamilton and Toby Newigwe. Rise of the Beast, maybe. I think it was might have been it. Either way, I saw it in theaters. At the post credit scene of that last Transformers movie teased a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover, and apparently Chris Hemsworth is in the running to take the lead for that. I mean, why not? Uh, and other news which is good for uh our finances and entertainment culture. Inside Out 2 is the first movie in almost a year to clear $100 million in its opening weekend. Um, the last movie to clear $100 million in its opening weekend was Barbie, and we're sitting a full year almost from that. So Inside Out 2 was the first one to clear 100 million in one weekend. And that might just be domestically, but that's still not great for our finances in terms of theatrical stuff. Nicolas Cage has starred in a new horror film called Long Legs. I don't know anything about this movie, but what I do know um, is that it is currently sitting at a 100 on Rotten Tomatoes. A Nicolas Cage horror movie is sitting at a number as sitting at a 100 on Rotten Tomatoes, um, and has been described as the most horrifying horror or the most terrifying horror movie of 2024 and the scariest film of the decade, citing it as a pure horror experience. Um, so that's a thing. If you're into scary Nicolas Cage things, um, the video gaming world is in a state of confusion slash moderate shady experiences with the banana game. And I had to research this because I didn't know what it was. There's a banana game that's on Steam that's pretty popular right now. And effectively, you get a banana each day, and then you can sell that banana to others for real money. It might be a special banana. It might be like a rainbow banana. It might be a peanut butter banana, whatever. You get a banana issued to you each day, and you can sell it and trade it like it's a Pokemon card, but it sells for real money, like 3 cents. And so, like the makers of the game split the finances in a three-way thing. So two of the developers from the game get 20% of it, and then the players get some too. So at the end, people are selling bananas to each other online, but making real money, and it's almost looking like a crypto Bitcoin scheme, but not, but weird. And yeah, it's a thing. And like money is being made because if there's over 2 million people uh playing this game, and at least if a banana sells at least for 3 cents, I think is the minimum, uh, then people are making $20,000 a day on this. So there's always money in the banana stand, as uh, Arrested Development says. If you've been reading comic books for a while, and if you're a fan of the Darth Vader run and the Star Wars run, those runs are officially coming to an end in September, and they're going to be shifting away from those into some new Star Wars timelines. So the Darth Vader series has been running for years now, and I read probably about half of it and kind of dipped off in recent years. It has added a good bit of backstory to the character of Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader, but also it's expensive to keep going. So, but that story is coming to a close. Um, and again, Metroid Prime 4 is coming. There were some extra details with that. Blah, blah, blah. Jackie Hill Perry, the speaker, evangelist, I think she's a pastor too, rapper, poet, all of the things, Olive Garden enthusiast, um, has returned to music, and she signed with Reach Records and dropped her first single, First Draft, with Reach Records. Also, Lecrae dropped a single recently. I think Still Standing was the title, or Still Here. Um, and yeah, if you're a fan, Jackie Hill Perry is putting out new music. In a recent interview for talking about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, Paul Rudd says that he would really like to meet Jesus. Um, they asked McKenna Grace and Finn Wolfhard and Paul Rudd who they would want to meet if they could meet any person from history. And Paul Rudd said Jesus, which made everybody laugh. And then Finn Wolfhard, um, uh, or before or Finn Wolfhard is this, but Paul said, "Laugh all you want. It seems like it would be." He says, "It seems like it would be a wrong thing to say." And Wolfhard says, "Was he real?" So Finn Wolfhard says, "Was like, did he even actually exist?" And Paul Rudd says, "He existed. So wouldn't you want to spend some time with him and go, Jesus, what's the deal?" Um, and so he continued to dig into saying why he wanted to meet Jesus. He says, "Yes, I'm super Jewish, and everybody in my family is Jewish, and all these things." Basically, he would like to meet Jesus and learn from him. And I thought that was pretty cool. Um, Amazon and MGM Studios, who are working with um, the folks who made the Jesus Revolution movie, are have officially cast the majority of their upcoming series on the life of David, and they're pitting it as a Game of Thrones-esque story over the throne, which is very fitting if you know the story. But they've cast David, they've cast Saul, they've cast Goliath, and you're going to see some familiar faces, including people from The Mummy. are going to be in this. And a lot of these aren't names that I can say that are recognizable to me, so I'm not going to bother reading them all. But if you want to look up, the cast has been dropped. Uh, Bob Dylan has he's notorious for leaving things around in his history, including things like the new basement tapes situation where an entire notebook of lyrics was found and he gave them to Marcus Mumford and Elvis Costello to make a new album with. Um, but a rare original set of handwritten lyrics from 40 years ago that are very Jesus and gospel centric has been found of Bob Dylan's. Um, what they believe was in works for his 1983 album, Infidels. And those are going up for auction this week. If you want handwritten Bob Dylan lyrics about Jesus, which I actually would love handwritten Bob Dylan lyrics about Jesus, but I doubt that it's going to fit within my budget. Chris Brown had life issues this week. While he was on stage, he was being suspended by wires and he got stuck. And he's just kind of floating in midair trying to continue his concert. And he got angry at how long it took for people to get him down. Um, which I mean, wouldn't you if that was the case? I mentioned last week that the BTS singer Jin had finished his required military service. And in part of the celebration that ensued, he stood on stage and hugged 1,000 fans in a row. That's a lot, dude. Um, that's a lot of hugs. I've seen Bob Goff do that too. Um, 28 people were stuck upside down for an hour and a half on an amusement park in Portland, on an amusement park ride in Portland, Oregon. Um, let's see. Hey, dude. And so with that, it said that one rider with pre-existing medical conditions was taken to the hospital for further evaluation. But that's the thing. And also this week, Gordon Ramsay uh, was in a cycling injury. I think they said everything was on the couch um, from last night, but I know it's hard to find stuff. What's she looking for? Okay. Oh, you're welcome. See, doing this in public spaces. It's cool. I tried to get up before everybody else. But Gordon Ramsay was in a cycling accident, um, bicycling accident in Connecticut. He was injured, but and he is suffering some PTSD from it and everything else. But he went on his accounts to show his injury, but also to encourage you, please wear a helmet. It will save your life. Um, yes. Putin and Kim Jong-un hung out this week and had like carpool karaoke and drove around and were buddies. I don't know that that's great for our whole humanity, but that's a thing. The Just Stop Oil protesters have been a bit buck wild this week. They started off the week by uh defacing and vandalizing Stonehenge. Stonehenge. That's where you go with this. That's that. Mm-mm. And one of the things that I saw that I thought was pretty dope, an elderly woman literally tried to drag a vandalizer away from it, and fought against these people to stop them from doing this. So if you've got a Nana trying to take you down, you're probably doing the wrong thing. Then later within the week, the same or some of the same organization broke into a private airfield to attempt to also vandalize Taylor Swift's private jet for the same reasons. Um, and yeah, so that's a thing. Um, Lawmaker Mary Morrissey has been caught on camera um, because Democratic Representative Jim Carroll had repeatedly found the contents of his bag, like his backpack, man bag, whatever, um, uh, soaking wet. And so he set up a hidden camera where he put his bag, and Republican lawmaker Mary Morrissey um, was caught several days and times in a row dumping cups of water into his bag on the way out. Um, and now Morrissey faces an ethics investigation, and she's removed from any key committee. Um, yeah. Do flop era. Said that. Oh, that's all my news. Awesome. Um, that's all the things I had to share in terms of news. Also just say Heroes Con happened last week and it went really well. Because this is the first thing I've done since this is the first feedback I've done since Heroes Con, but it did go really well. And I was really encouraged and had some good experiences with it. You can check out the Artist Alley Aftermath, which there's stuff I want to add to that, but life is moving pretty quickly. Bible verse I wanted to share with y'all is 2 Corinthians 5:18. It's just one I shared yesterday, but I spoke on it last night. And it says this, and all this is a gift from God who brought us back to himself through Christ, and God has given us the task of reconciling people to him. Um, that God gave us the chance to be right with him, and he gives us the chance to help others be right with him. And I feel like that's what ministry looks like. That's what life looks like, is us just trying to show where we've found life and help other people get that. Um, and I've been in a variety of scenarios in the last week. I've gone from Comic Cons and people distant and people skeptical and people aggressive to a Bible camp where people are just like, please teach me. And so it's been kind of a high and low situation in those terms. But um, the whole thing I do know is that God wants us reconciled with him. He wants us to be able to have a right relationship with him and be close to him. And he's did a lot of work to make that happen. So grateful for it. Um, but yeah, I think that's our news. Want to pop up real quick and say thank you to our Patreon supporters for doing all you do. And also to say, Patreon supporters, I've been on the road. Your stuff is going to go out as soon as I get back. But David Brooks, Jeff Weimer, um, Colin Sproles, Jamie Montgomery, the Coleman family, Jonathan Herman, Ron Petit, Gear Saber Cosplay, Scott Ward, Alicia Benson, Glenn, dang it, Alicia, Candace Davis, Jay Sheed, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Todd Turner, John Jacobs, Zach Harris, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, and Adam Davis. Thank you all for being so awesome and supporting and helping Faith and Fandom the way you do. Um, and I got to do a Faith and Fandom presentation here with these kids at the camp this week. And y'all, it's so dope to see a bunch of teenage kids really get excited about stuff like that. And uh yeah, gonna their parents are gonna get to check it out today too. So it'll be fun. So thank you for taking the time to listen. Thank you for being encouraging. And I hope uh God blesses you, that you find reconciliation between him and yourself and that you can help others do that. And I hope to see you at a con real soon.